All right, well, as you can see, I am sporting my new blue Seething Frog t-shirt, which will be available to others of you. I bought 80 of them, so I'm either a real idiot or we'll have lots of fun. So I need to report to you that there are a couple postings. Two of them have to do with simply changing the trip code, and Q apparently changed his identity to protect the being able to post stuff, and he did it on the Great Awakening channel, not on the standard Q post on 8chan. So there are two posts with just the trip code update, one showing I think the old one and one showing the new one, and then a second post or a third posting which is clock activated one line, red castle one line, green castle one line, and stage dash or underscore 5:5 with a killbox Y. Now I have no idea what the killbox Y is, and I have I don't have, it's one letter. How do I know what it is, right? But I dug around a bunch of stuff. There are some folks that think that the red castle and green castle are the Green Berets and Rangers. I think that might not be the case. There were some comments, and I think this is probably most meaningful, that this is a chess-related term, and that the red castle is a bad move, and that the red castle is given basically as a sacrifice, which follows the green castle, which are good moves. So that it takes a bad move to make a good move, or a series of good moves. And how I might describe that in today's context, I could describe it according to Bolton, but let me skip that one. As I describe it in context, I would look at the bill that was passed, the spending bill that was passed, and Trump initially at 5:55 this morning tweeted that he might not sign it, that he didn't like it, that it didn't fund his wall, and that of course it funded some things he didn't want, that it violated some of his terms, and then a couple hours later he signed it. And there are people exploding all over the internet, including on my channel, who say, you know, Bolton is one thing and then the spending bill is quite another, and we've doubled up and things are horrible and there is no recovery. And you know, it's reasonable for people to say that, and I certainly understand it. Let me give you the other spin on it for a few minutes, because in the process of trying to encompass this whole thing, I try to both give credence to what Q might be saying to us, and also to the darker side of it, which is that nothing's going to happen and it is business as usual. So the business as usual side says, you know, Bolton is a bad deal, and I'm one of those, and says that signing that spending bill is, funding bill is the frosting on the cake, and it is a very bad cake and nobody wants to eat it. And that there are people tossing the towel and saying this whole Q business is a bunch of hocus pocus because it couldn't possibly happen if good things are happening. Fair enough. Now let me play the other side of this, because there is another side to it. And as many of you know, I'm a skeptic, so I sometimes end up straddling the fence and saying, my goodness, they both make some sense to me. But the other side of it is that that spending bill was signed to give Trump breathing room to fully activate the process of going after the bad guys, and that he needed the military fully funded and his government fully funded, and the good guys in the three-letter agencies and the rest of that, fully funded without question in order to go forward. And that this is a 6-month spending bill, as some have suggested. I'm not certain of that. And that this is a nibble that he had to take, a bad bite that he had to take to feed the process for the good. And that red castle may well be a combination of things that were done, one or a combination of things that were done that were unpleasant in order to bring about the opportunity to perform the pleasant, the active part of it. So, and then the other part of this has to do with stage _5:5. And I have looked at a whole bunch of stuff. There are a couple other references to 5:5, and that this is reference to one of two things. One of them is its reference to a 5:5 that was with the HRC tapes, raw videos, and that this is about to be released. There were comments by Q earlier that once that happened, there would be no recovery for the mainstream media and for all of the dark trolling snakes that have hung around in that cesspool, because they would no longer have deniability. And if that in fact is the case, it is one of the 2 or 3 things that I have repeatedly said we need to do. Not that anybody called me to say, gee, what do you think we ought to do next? But it is a logical process as a part of what we have to do in order to get the entire mainstream to shift. You know, if you told people that there was treasonous activity, there was sedition, there were plans to kill Trump, and that was included in those videos, that there is satanic stuff or pedophilia or sex trafficking, or you pick, if any or all of those are in there, it will shift public opinion dramatically, and it will make a huge difference if that just can be released. So if the 5:5 relates to that video release, that is, I would call it incredible news. That's a green castle. The other possibility is that it is a 5x5, which is a go-ahead, or that in other settings it would be used as a comment for loud and clear. We've got it loud and clear. I think because it is prefaced by stage, I'm playing with the semantics of this, right? The fine points. It's prefaced by the word stage, that it is not loud and clear or something else, but that it is in fact an indication of the 5th stage of 5. And if that is in fact the case, then we will see live activity. So that's basically the posting. It is not a great deal. Let me give you another something that I have dug around and looked at. There is an outfit called Operation Disclosure, and I will attach it. It's a blog spot, and they're claiming that they have another insider they're talking to, which they call an alliance insider. They call the guy's name Arthur. This insider claims to have been briefed and is following the Horowitz investigation, that is the Inspector General for the DOJ, and that there are and have been assassination attempts against Trump, that there is other stuff going on, and then there is, and you will see this if you feel so inclined to look at it. I don't know that you give any more credence to this than you do to Q, and hopefully more than you give to me, but the point of the matter is that Arthur is calling this, so-called Arthur is calling this stage 5, and that he says it will start by this weekend. So we've had so many of this boom, boom, boom stuff, I have to tell you. Some of you know I've called this calling out to wolf, calling wolf, and that some of us have looked around and seen no wolf 17 times, and I am bemused at best by the people who say, boom, oh boy, boom, something's happening. This is really real because Q says it is. Well, if in fact some of the booms actually happened, then we will in fact see something shortly, and it needs to come very quickly. And what Arthur is saying, and I'll just go ahead and share this with you, why not? Because this is another line of this, and it is an alleged insider. It also conforms with a very mixed bag of a conversation that I had with somebody that may or may not have any credibility, but much of what Arthur says, this other individual said. And Arthur says, this is it. This is what we've been talking about. It will happen this weekend. Satan 17 are going to get theirs by Saturday. The whole investigation, Mueller, Rosenstein, and the rest of the 17 all get smoked on or around Saturday. Whitey Bulger, the murderer from Boston, was given immunity by Mueller. He's dead. It's treasonous. And in fact, what they're saying is that there was dark stuff going on as it relates to this. Rosenstein put 11 people in prison. 5 of them got back out, and that's also going to have some impacts apparently. They're satanic. They've tied Obama, Hillary, Biden, Kerry, the war criminal that said we were baby killers. All of them are going to burn all at once. Well, it's if you threw Podesta in there, I would say there's a trifecta. We got them all, right? Obviously, that's not the case. And the question was to this Arthur guy, how many are there going to be a mass arrests? And Arthur says, I don't know. It may take some time to fold out, but they're all going down, and they're going down for treason, high crimes, misdemeanors, criminal, contempt, perjury, but they're all screwed. And he also points out that he and I'm sure, assuming Arthur's a male, but he and a group of people are all closing in on this, and he calls what he does the star state, and it's going to shine. Okay, never doubt it. So a lot of stuff is coming out. The SEAL teams, the SWAT teams, the dark ops, the snipers, the Rangers, the Delta Force, they're all behind Trump, and they're ready to go hunting. As soon as the deep state pokes up its head, the military is going to play whack-a-mole. So, you know, some of us looking for positives, and I hate to sound giddy about this because I'm not, and I hate to sound too skeptical about it because I'm not, because this is an exact parallel with some other stuff. But if in fact this stuff is going down, it's going to go down soon. One of the big things that I've given credence to has to do with the fact that everybody hated Trump, and if everybody hated Trump, he must be good, right? It's hard to keep everybody negative in a fake negative mode when they're really gleeful, if they're not, if that's in fact what they are. But if everybody hates him and they hate him for a year, then the people that I can't stand who hate Trump still makes him my ally, or makes me his ally, I guess. And if any of this is true, then here's the deal. And this is something that I give great gravity to, is this. Trump won't survive if he doesn't do this. That's the deal. If he attempts to just cruise, there is no cruising space. There is impeachment. There are allegations of him being incompetent. There apparently have been at least 7 attempts to assassinate him, and there will be more. Everything looks dark unless he cleans it up. If he doesn't clean up Dodge, he can't live in Dodge. That's the deal. And so the part about this that gives me hope is that basically he's between a rock and a hard place. If he doesn't fix it, it is going to come down on him hard. And I don't care how tough and resilient he is, if all he does in the next 2 years is fight impeachment and ward off assassination attempts. It won't be fun to be president. So there are some other things that there are questions in this thing to Arthur about GMOs and Hollywood and the Silicon Valley and the rest of it, and there are some deflections, and but I think there are some important things. And it says, what are your thoughts on Iran and Mossad? Don't worry about that. Putin is coming over to see Trump so they can shake hands and say, hey, you're taking care of things here, I'm taking care of things there. Putin told Trump that he wants the Satanists gone. Putin saved America from Obama. I think there's some credence in that. I think there's some, we're getting our uranium back after the Illuminati are in prison. So I can't tell you how encouraged I would be if this comes true, and if in fact, here it is. As impatient as I am sometimes, and I try to be patient, waiting through this weekend is not a big price to pay, right? So give it your great, positive, encouraging, hopeful, prayerful energy, however you see fit to encourage the process. There may be a little more than we can do than that. So take a look at this posting. I'm not going to read the rest of it. I was most encouraged by the very impressive part of this linking effectively to what Q said, to what Trump seems to be doing, and why it is that some of the dark stuff we're seeing going on, which Bolton is, and which signing this bill is, may in fact have very good background for reasoning for what is being done. So those of you who said, hey, look, don't get your panties in a wad, which some of them you did, please recognize that I try to see both sides of it, but I also don't want to be in a place, and this is because I have reported on Q, I don't want to be in a place where we take all one side, and people who rely upon me and others for whatever reason take that as gospel and don't have their own skepticism, their own caution, their own reserve elevated by the people that are giving them the news. And I take that responsibility seriously, to try to find balance and to share with you my own concerns. So enough about me. What do you think about me, right? All right, look, give a thumbs up if you like this. I will post this linkage to the Operation Disclosure. Subscribe if you are so inclined and have not. Be prepared if you're interested to be a seething frog. Guess what? We got them. So, hey, thanks. Thanks so much.